Joined now by Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Abhishek Manu Singhvi has spoken to us on so many different occasions over the last few days in different sets of circumstances, I must say, Dr. Singhvi. But let me begin before I come to you by saying that the entire process that has happened today has hopefully only made us more confident about the participation of the citizenry in the lawmaking process of this country. And beyond all recrimination and partisan arguments, it must be said that Parliament did perform a tremendous and historical role today, and Parliament's participation in the process will also be etched in the history of contemporary India. Dr. Singhvi, how do you view? You and I have had so many debates in so many different sets of circumstances over the last 2 weeks. How do you view what has happened today, the whole proceedings of the day, what happened in Parliament, and how it has eventually concluded?
Let me make a few quick points, Arnab. Firstly, a direct answer to your direct question. I view it as a win-win for India, for Indian democracy. I certainly deprecate the attempts which some people for the last hour or 2 hours are doing, and they include all segments, including journalistic segments, to suggest a binary win-lose equation, a black-white equation. You know, why can't we think sometimes in terms of win-win? This is win-win. And yes, the win-win was animated by the uppermost primary consideration of ending the fast of an elderly man about whom there is respect and feeling. But it was also equally animated by the very important consideration of maintaining the sanctity of our constitutional oath, the Constitution, and parliamentary practice and precedent. Now, if largely both have won, why should we go out immediately and say, oh, this finger, you did it, I did it? Somebody is saying to me the other channel a minute ago, shall we carry a headline, Anna ends fast, Congress eats humble pie. Somebody else said, this is a victory of so-and-so, looking down for a political party. I mean, these, I don't mind, quite frankly. I don't think the Congress party minds or even the political class minds. Remember, Arnab, this is the same parliament which has been virulently abused yesterday. And this is the same parliament which has not retorted in the same idiom. It's the same parliament which has largely tried to control itself. Although let me tell you that they have a greater immunity of speech inside than the people who spoke outside yesterday. So if they have tried to rise above, I think it's a cause for celebration instead of coming out in these binary quick fix equations. And I'm happy that you at least have not seen it in that way, till now at least.
Mr. Singhvi, actually, what we have been saying through the day, it's a bit of what you've heard on somewhere else, and you have a right to respond to that on our channel. But what we have said here today is that I think what is remarkable is the way it began and the way it ended. The way the debate began today, the maturity that prevailed on both sides, and the manner in which it ended, with Parliament not getting caught in semantics and technicalities, Mr. Singhvi, it must be said, restores the faith of the people of India in Parliament as an institution. And I think the full credit must be given to that, because we could have got lost in semantics and technicalities beyond this. But now let me take it further from there, Mr. Singhvi, because if you ask me what is the thing to be celebrated, what is the headline? May I suggest that the headline is something different. Headline, of course, is Anna's victory, but it is also the fact that what has been introduced in 1966 for the first time is actually being consummated today, 45 years later. This is history. It may have taken almost half a century, but that is what is truly historic, isn't it, Mr. Singhvi? It has finally happened, and that is, I think, the most remarkable thing of what happened today.
On a personal note, you may add 3 years to that, because the concept was spoken about consistently, almost on a weekly basis, even 3 years earlier than that, from 1963, by a very young member of Parliament closely related to me.
I know that. And I'd like to actually complete that today, because it was your father, the very eminent L.M. Singhvi, if I am not mistaken, who not just pushed that at that time. I don't know how old he was then, but he also gave the term Lokpal, I am told.
In fact, I might share with you on a personal note that he had conducted a very deep study of the ombudsman in Scandinavia, And Mr. Jaitley had done his research well when he made the point today. And he came back full of fire and enthusiasm about the Ombudsman, about which he talked almost on a weekly or a monthly basis in Parliament. And at one point, Pandit Nehru, jokingly asked him, he said, Dr. Singhvi, to what zoo does this animal belong? Because Ombudsman was a very foreign-sounding word. And then he said, you must indigenize it. Whereupon the Hindi words were coined, Lokpal and Lokayukt, which did not exist in the Hindi lexicon.
That's true.
So it is in that sense, as Mr. Jaitley rightly said, a very strange coincidence.
Yes.
That I am being given the privilege of trying to work on this.
I do only wish that your father was here today to see this moment. It would have meant so much. But I know this probably means personally a lot to you. Mr. Singhvi, my other question to you is, I will not go into the past. Yes, things have not gone well. There has been recrimination. Many things was unavoidable. As even Pranab Mukherjee said, things could have been messed up, miscalculated. My question to you is, going forward, Anna Hazare has a great degree of moral credibility today in this country. And he has pushed through a people's movement. Will you take it further from here? Because you have not committed yourself to a timeline and people are a little concerned about that. Can you give a broad sense of how long it will take for this to become a reality, a broad sense?
Arnab, I must caveat myself by saying that obviously I am not at liberty to give specific dates and deadlines.
Yes.
And that's not even necessary. Yes. I'll be as upfront as possible with you. As I've said for the last 2 weeks, standing committees have been given 3 months initially, but invariably are expected to take 2 extensions at least, between 9 months. The very fact that I am utterly confident that my committee, each member of it will rise to the occasion and try to do this well within the initial time limit given to us, should give you an indication without being very specific about it, because after all it's a collectivity and I can't preempt any particular line of inquiry which the committee might want to take, but I'm confident it will be very, very short. And I must add one more thing. You already have a monsoon session ending and you have a fairly proximate winter session. In a matter of this nature, with so many diverse considerations, if you do a good job and you look into it, and you do it within, whether you call it 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever, I think it is not by any standards, delay or procrastination. And now with everything in the public domain, I think nobody should have the slightest apprehension that this is some kind of a dilatory or an effort to kind of get it lost in the bylanes and never allow it to come to fruition. That cannot possibly be after all we have seen and gone through.
Absolutely not. And I think once the sense of the House has been so resoundingly, felt, I'm sure that will also carry through to your standing committee. So let me say this today. I'm very glad, Dr. Singhvi, to meet you in very pleasant circumstances. And I congratulate you. I congratulate all the members of Parliament who have shown the sagacity and the wisdom to see this process through. You too deserve the credit for going through this entire process. Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, thank you very much